The sound of my mother's blood-curdling scream still echoes in my mind, but let me start from the beginning. The moment that changed everything. I should have known something was wrong when I walked into our family's garage on Christmas morning and saw the gleaming red Ferrari 488 Spider sitting there like a monument to everything I'd never have. The massive red velvet bow on top looked like a cruel joke, but Madison, my 22-year-old sister, was jumping up and down like she'd just won the lottery. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mom, Dad, this is incredible. Madison shrieked, her manicured nails trailing along the pristine hood. I can't believe you got me a Ferrari. I stood there in my 3-year-old jeans and clearance rack sweater, watching my parents beam with pride as they handed Madison the keys. My stomach twisted into that familiar knot I'd been carrying for months. The same one I got every time I looked at my bank account and saw how little was left after helping my family. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. My mother, Linda, cooed, pulling Madison into a tight hug. You deserve only the best. My father, Robert, nodded enthusiastically. A successful young woman needs a car that matches her potential. Successful? Madison had dropped out of college twice and hadn't held a job for longer than 3 months. But I kept my mouth shut, just like always. Where's my gift? I asked, trying to keep my voice light despite the growing dread in my chest. Linda's smile flickered for just a moment before she handed me a small, poorly wrapped package. The paper was the cheap kind from the dollar store, the same paper I'd seen them use for gift wrap for the neighbor's dog last year. Inside were a pair of gray wool socks. The price tag was still attached, $2.99. Be humble. Everyone gets what they deserve, Linda laughed, not even trying to hide her amusement. Besides, you're always complaining about your feet being cold in that little apartment of yours. That little apartment. The one I could barely afford because I'd been sending them $1,200 every month for the past 2 years to help with the mortgage. The apartment where I ate ramen noodles for dinner 4 nights a week, so I could keep my family's house from foreclosure. If you've ever sacrificed your own happiness to keep your family afloat while they lived in luxury, hit that like button. You're not alone, and your story matters too. How much of your own life have you given up for people who wouldn't do the same for you? Madison was too busy taking selfies with her new car to notice the humiliation burning in my cheeks. Robert was already uploading photos to Facebook, captioning them, "Spoiling our successful daughter this Christmas." I excused myself to the bathroom and stared at my reflection in the mirror. At 26, I looked exhausted. Dark circles shadowed my eyes, and I'd lost weight I couldn't afford to lose. Working 60-hour weeks as a financial analyst at Hartwell and Associates in downtown Springfield had taken its toll, but it was the only way I could support both myself and my family. When had I become the family ATM? When had my dreams become secondary to everyone else's comfort? The breaking point came 3 hours later during Christmas dinner. "So, Emma," Madison said between bites of the expensive prime rib that I'd unknowingly paid for, "when are you finally going to get your life together? I mean, you're almost 30 and you're still single, living in that shoebox apartment." "Madison," I said carefully, "I'm 26. And I've been working really hard." "Working hard at what?" she interrupted with a laugh that sounded exactly like our mother's. "You're just pushing papers around an office. It's not like you're changing the world." Linda nodded in agreement. Emma's always been the practical one. Not everyone can be extraordinary like you, Madison. Practical. That's what they called it when I sacrificed my social life, my savings, and my sanity to keep them afloat. Practical was code for boring and expendable. "Actually," I said, setting down my fork, "I got promoted last month. I'm now a senior analyst." "That's nice, dear," Linda replied absently, more interested in refilling Madison's wine glass. "I also got a raise. A significant one." This caught Robert's attention. "Oh, how significant." There it was. The only time my achievements mattered was when they translated to dollar signs for them. "Significant enough," I replied, not wanting to give them exact numbers. After dinner, I helped clean up while Madison lounged on the couch, FaceTiming her friends about her new car. I was elbow-deep in soapy dishwater when I overheard Linda on the phone in the next room. "Yes, she got another raise, so we should be fine for the renovation." I'm thinking we could finally get that kitchen island we've been wanting. My blood ran cold. Kitchen renovation? I quietly dried my hands and crept closer to hear better. The Ferrari payment isn't as bad as we thought, Linda continued. With Emma's extra money coming in, we can easily cover the lease. And Madison deserves nice things. She's been through so much with her job searching. Job searching. Madison hadn't looked for a job in 6 months. We should probably ask Emma to increase her monthly contribution. Tell her the mortgage went up or something. She's so gullible, she'll believe anything as long as we frame it as helping family. The room started spinning. For 2 years, I'd been sending them money for a mortgage that was apparently manageable without me. They'd been using my sacrifice money for luxury purchases while I survived on instant coffee and thrift store clothes. I stumbled back to the kitchen, my hands shaking as the full scope of their deception hit me. Every month, I'd prioritize their fake financial crisis over my own dreams. I'd turn down dates because I couldn't afford restaurant dinners. I'd skip my college friend's wedding because I couldn't afford the plane ticket to Seattle. Also, my sister could drive a Ferrari. The rage that built inside me was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It started as a slow burn in my chest and spread through my entire body like wildfire. But underneath the anger was something even more powerful. Clarity. At 3 a.m., while my family slept peacefully in their paid-for beds, I packed my suitcase with surgical precision. I folded each piece of clothing carefully, my movements steady despite the emotional earthquake happening inside me. I wasn't running away. I was walking toward the life I deserved. But before I left, I had one last gift to give. I pulled out my laptop and drafted an email to my bank, canceling the automatic transfer that had been bleeding me dry for 24 months. Then I wrote a detailed letter explaining exactly what I discovered and what would happen next. I printed the letter on their own printer, using their own paper, and placed it in an elegant gift box I'd originally bought for Linda months ago. I wrapped it carefully in expensive paper, the kind they'd never waste on me, and tied it with a perfect silver bow. I placed it under their tree next to the empty Ferrari box and walked out the front door for the last time. 3 months later, the coffee shop in downtown Springfield had become my sanctuary. It was where I'd started writing, really writing, not just financial reports, but the novel I'd abandoned 3 years ago. It was also where I'd met David, a kind and funny architect who thought my little apartment was charming and my dreams were worth pursuing. Emma? Emma Mitchell? I looked up from my laptop to see my old neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, standing beside my table. Her face was a mixture of sympathy and poorly concealed gossip hunger. "Hello, Mrs. Patterson," I said, closing my laptop. "Oh, honey, I heard about what happened with your family. The whole neighborhood's been talking about it." My stomach tightened. "What exactly have you heard?" She leaned in conspiratorially. "Well, after your parents couldn't make their mortgage payments, the bank started foreclosure proceedings. And that Ferrari of Madison's? Repossessed right from the driveway in broad daylight. Your mother was hysterical." I felt a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. "I see. But Emma," Mrs. Patterson continued, "what was in that Christmas gift you left them?" Linda wouldn't tell anyone, but she was absolutely beside herself for weeks. She kept saying it was the cruelest thing anyone had ever done to her. I smiled sadly, remembering the moment I decided what to put in that box. Inside had been every receipt I'd saved from the past 2 years. Every bank transfer. Every sacrifice I'd made. Plane tickets I didn't buy, dinners I didn't eat out, clothes I didn't purchase. All documented with mathematical precision. At the bottom was a copy of my new bank statement showing what my account looked like after just 2 months of not supporting them. Healthy, growing, hopeful. But the real gift was the letter itself. "Dear family, by the time you read this, the automatic transfers have stopped. You are now responsible for your own choices and their consequences. I know you're probably angry, but I'm not. I'm grateful. Grateful for this Christmas morning that finally opened my eyes. You taught me exactly what I deserve, and it's not $3 socks while others get luxury cars bought with my sacrifice. I deserve respect. I deserve honesty. I deserve a family that sees my worth beyond my bank account. You are right about one thing, Mom. Everyone gets what they deserve. I'm getting the life I should have been living all along. Don't contact me unless you're ready to have an honest conversation about how families should really treat each other. Emma P.S. The Ferrari is a lease, not a purchase. The payment is $2,400 a month. Good luck. Mrs. Patterson, I said gently, sometimes the cruelest gift is the truth. She nodded knowingly. Your mother called me last week, you know? She wanted to know if I had your phone number. What did you tell her? I told her that if she wanted to talk to you, she should start by figuring out how to apologize for 26 years of taking you for granted. I felt tears prick my eyes. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of being understood. 6 months after that Christmas morning, I was offered a position at a prestigious firm in Denver. The salary was double what I'd been making, and the signing bonus alone was more than I'd ever had in my savings account. As I sat in my new apartment, a beautiful one-bedroom with mountain views, I thought about calling my family. I'd heard through Mrs. Patterson that they'd had to sell the house and move into a small rental. Madison was working at a local restaurant and taking public transportation. Linda had gotten a part-time job at a department store. They were learning what I'd known for years, that dignity isn't about what you own, but about how you treat the people who love you. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was Linda. Emma, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. Mrs. Patterson was right. I owe you an apology. A big one. Could we talk? Really talk this time? I think I'm finally ready to listen. Mom. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to delete it and move on completely. But another part, the part that still remembered the mother who used to read me bedtime stories and bandage my scraped knees, wanted to believe that people could change. I typed back. I'm willing to talk. But this time, we do it honestly. All of us. No more family cards or guilt trips. If you want me in your life, it has to be because you value me, not because you need me. Are you ready for that kind of relationship? Her response came quickly. Yes. I think I finally am. Would our relationship ever be the same? Probably not. But maybe, just maybe, it could be better. More honest. More real. As I watched the sun set over the Rocky Mountains, I realized that Christmas morning hadn't just given me clarity about what I deserved. It had given me something even more valuable. The courage to demand it. Sometimes the best gifts come wrapped in pain, and the greatest act of love is teaching someone how to love you properly. Even if it takes $3 socks and a screaming match to get there. What would you have in my situation? Have you ever been the family ATM? Share your story in the comments. You might not be as alone as you think. And if this story helped you realize you deserve better, smash that subscribe button because your worth isn't measured by how much you sacrifice for people who don't appreciate you.